Okay, this is the world of Rosta. It is a seed world speculative evolution project in which an outside force has dropped chickens upon a planet. Now, the world of Rosta is a huge moon, actually, that is considered a planet because the planet behind it is too small to really be counted as a planet, but the old counting system for it stays the same. These chickens were placed here amongst various insects, corn and wheat, and small fish. This was to make sure that they were able to flourish on the planet of Rosta. Now, the first era of Rosta is the Algro Era, which takes place in the first 10 million years of Rosta. It is one central continent called Rokana, which is like Pangea. It has the West Rokana Sea and the East Rokana Sea. This shows the first era of Rosta. The continent is huge and is the only continent on Rosta at the time, in which many habitats and species will come to flourish on the planet of Rosta, or moon. Whatever you want to call it, really. It's a moon or a planet. I really don't mind whatever you call it. It's Rosta. It's Rosta. Now, we have the first shown signs of evolution. We have the chore, a chicken species soaring through the skies. We have the angelflies evolved from butterflies, and on the new wheat plant species sprouting from the ground has little caterpillars in their cocoon phase become angelflies. Under the ground, we have burrow worms, which are worms that burrow underground. And lastly, we have the oxygen. This is a megafaunal chicken taking the niche of cattle. This line will further evolve and probably stay more prominent in later eras. Now, next up we have the river dute, the simoleon, and the liphagus. The river dute is a small, non-predatory fish that mostly tries to avoid the other two species. The simoleon is also non-predatory, but will eat another species of fish, or become predatory if necessary. Mostly feeds on the seagrass that you can see underneath it. And the liphagus is predatory and primarily hunts river dute, but if it is really hungry and can't find any river dutes, it'll sometimes go for simoleons. This often causes a huge fight and disrupts the environment. It's kind of like it's a little like fight disruption thing that probably shouldn't happen, but is happening. You know? Next up, I realize this is the one page I did not label the species. Uh-oh. But you can kind of see that the bird up in the sky is an offshoot from the soar. They kind of just kept the same names, except for that little chicken down there. It's a rodent type thing. New corn, as you can see, flies are down there next to the manure. They won't evolve. If they do, it'll be a very long time. The new oxygen has more hoofed feet and beak. The spore is more bird-like or avianated. The burrowworms are more adapted to being a mole-like species, with little hooks at the bottom to dig and eyes to see more clearly. Now, as you can see, there's a bunch of algae due to a mass algae bloom. This wipes out a few species on Rosta. Now we have, coming from this algae bloom, the bulletfish, a really fast fish, very small, but is very high in protein for any predatory fish, which do not exist. There's the scooper and the algae filter, which are non-predatory fish, even though they look predatory, that feast on algae. They're filter feeders. Scooper scoops in the algae, and then the algae filter just kind of soars through it, letting the algae kind of filter in through its teeth, which I think is pretty cool. Next up, we have the spike fly. This is a predatory wasp-like butterfly and predecessor now, next to the Chickoraptor, which is a velociraptor-esque chicken species that has now further evolved to be predatory. We also have the caterpillar, which is more like takes the niche of a very small rodent that is very huntable. Now, the luring cornstalk is listed here because it sets out a pheromone that is attracting the caterpillar, in which the part of the cornstalk will open up in like a mouth and grab the caterpillar and eat it, digest it, whatever it needs to do to get the nutrients from the caterpillar inside itself. Next up, we have the mealfly. This is a very hefty bug, I'd say, that evolves from the meal pillar. These are more like roly-polies in a way. We have the chigir, which fills up the niche of a deer. This is the rodent, which is a rodent-based good species, but what will probably be the most prominent species of this era is the swamper. They stand in algae bloomed waters, ponds, and they just eat from the algae that grows inside of the ponds. They have big beaks and small frills to get the most algae they can and stay the most flamboyant. I guess like they're better for the design's better for being in the water, basically. Now we have what is known as the anatree. If you look at the trunk, you'll see there's ridges in it that seem like it could open up. It does. It is a predatory tree. Doesn't mean it's alive. Like, its consciousness is just predatory. We also have the tweedle beetle, which is getting hunted by the skydiver. As you can tell, but insects have taken over the skies of Rosta in the first 2 million years due to the algae bloom. Down below, on the bottom right corner, we have a tiny dancer, which takes the niche of an animal that eats the carcasses of other animals, like a vulture. Is a scavenger animal. As a scavenger, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. And then you can see we have an archer, the predecessor of a swamper. Same stuff. Now we're on to the last of Rosta, with the gilliger, the torpfish, and the whip shark. The gilliger is a huge whale-like fish that searches the sea, eating up the algae. The torpfish is an evolution of the bulletfish, which is more aerodynamic and fast. And we also have the whip shark, which is a shark-type fish that uses its whip-like lips to latch on, instantly stunning its prey, like the torpfish, and quickly eating it. This was episode 1 of Rosta, the Algro Era. Stay tuned for part 2.